Alright, so you want to buy a new iPad, right? You go on Apple's website and then you're like, wait, what? There's 4 iPads? There's the iPad Air, the iPad mini, and the iPad Pro. This is kind of confusing. Which iPad should I get? I know it can get really confusing if you're not really into Apple, if you're not really into tech, but don't worry, it's actually way much simpler than it seems. Now, since it's already complicated by itself, since this whole iPad thing is complicated by itself, I could honestly go ahead and talk to you with specs and tell you this iPad has this iPad has this much specs. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna let you know which iPad is right for you and day-to-day basis. Once again, I don't really want to be like, this has the A12 Bionic chip, this is the A12X Bionic chip. Like, I'm not about that because I know, once again, it's confusing. And in this video, I wanted to make everything way much simpler than it actually seems because I get so many questions every single day. Nikias, which iPad should I get? And I honestly can't answer that question because I don't personally know you. I don't know what you do. I don't know what your job is. I don't really know why you need an iPad. I don't know if you have a computer. I don't really know if you have a good computer. I don't know if you're trying to replace a laptop with that iPad. Like, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered before I can actually tell you what iPad you should get. So as I was saying, there's 4 iPads and each one of those iPads has a different price. There's the $300 iPad, or you can even get to the iPad Pro, which can get up to $1,200 which is really expensive. So let's go ahead and start the comparison video, I guess we can call it, with the lower budget iPad, called simply the iPad. Now the iPad 9.7 inch, which is $300, which is a really affordable price, is probably the best value that you can get out of all of them. It is so affordable and it can do so much. So a thing that you have to know, by the way, is that all the iPads practically do the same. Some have fancier features, some have keyboards, and I'll get into that in a second, but all iPads have iOS, all the iPads have Apple Pencil support. So who is the $300 iPad for? Well, it's really good for students. It's got the first generation Apple Pencil, which will allow you to take notes, draw, anything that you want on the Apple Pencil. As I was said, it's the first generation Apple Pencil, so you're not gonna get the second generation Apple Pencil. What the second generation Apple Pencil does, it's basically got some really nice, some really fancy features. Do you need those features? No, they're nice to have, but you don't really need them. The Apple Pencil 2 has wireless charging, double tap gesture support, so let's say you're drawing and then you want to get to the eraser, you simply double tap on the pencil and then we'll switch back to the eraser. So those features are nice, but you don't need them. So the first generation Apple Pencil will work just as fine. The $300 iPad does not have a laminated display. Now, what is a laminated display for those of you who don't know? Basically, all the more expensive iPads have a laminated display. What that means is that the actual display is right on the glass. It's kind of hard for me to explain what a laminated display is, but it's basically a gap between the actual glass and the actual display. On the $300 iPad, the gap is pretty large. On the most expensive iPads, it's literally right on the glass. So that's the one thing that I don't really like about the $300 iPad. But once again, it's $300 and it's such an affordable price. So if you don't really care on the fancy features, if you don't really want the best displays, if you don't really want the latest speeds, talking about speed, the $300 iPad will just basically do anything that you want on it. I mean, if you want to edit 4K video, if I were you, I would not get the $300 iPad. But apart from that, can you game on this iPad? Yes. Can you play Fortnite on it? Yes. Can you edit photos? Yes. Can you do anything that the more expensive iPads can you do them on this iPad, on the $300 iPad? And the answer is yes. So if you're in a low budget, definitely go with the cheaper budget, the iPad, just the normal iPad. I wish Apple would call this iPad something else, because it's kind of weird that, you know, there's the iPad Air, the iPad mini, and then there's this iPad. Either way, next up on the list is the iPad mini. Now, I'm such a big fan of the iPad mini because of the form factor. This is the most comfortable iPad that you can buy right now in 2019. It fits right on your hand, so it's just really comfortable to use. It's compatible as well with the first generation Apple Pencil, not the second generation, but the first generation. Now, the Apple Pencil and the iPad mini make the best combo because since the iPad mini is just simply so comfortable to use, you can literally note take. It's just the best note-taking experience out there. It's just amazing. You can basically take it anywhere. If you're a lady or a man that wear purses, you can basically pop your iPad mini, or there's literally some people can even fit the iPad mini in their pocket. So if you want a comfortable iPad, that's who the iPad mini is for. As we were talking before about the $300 iPad that did not have a laminated display, the iPad mini does have a laminated display, so you're going to feel like the pixels, you're going to feel like the screen is right there on the display. So once again, with the Apple Pencil, it's just a beautiful, beautiful experience. So right now, we have the $300 iPad, which does not have the best display, which is good enough for most people. Then we have the pretty good, really good iPad mini with an okay price. It's priced at $450, $500 depending on where you are from. It's a pretty expensive iPad, but it's definitely worth it if you want a small tablet, because right now there's no other better tablet, there's no other better small tablet in the market apart from the iPad mini. The iPad mini is the way to go if you want a small tablet. And next in the line, we have the iPad Air. Now, who is the iPad Air for? Now, this is probably the hardest iPad for me to recommend you, because it's kind of in between the cheaper iPad and then the iPad Pro. So if you don't want to spend that much money as like an iPad Pro, but you still want to get, you know, some nicer displays and some nicer speakers than the cheaper iPad, the iPad Air is the way to go. The coolest thing about the iPad Air is that it's actually got the smart connector, which will allow you to connect a keyboard to that iPad. So if you want an iPad with a keyboard that is not the iPad Pro, because the iPad Pro, we'll get into it in just a second, but it's way much more expensive than the iPad Air, I definitely recommend you the iPad Air. It's got a great camera as well. It's compatible with the first generation Apple Pencil. It's got great graphics, great speeds, everything that you would expect, once again, of an iPad. It's way much faster than the $300 iPad. So if you were just right in between, you don't want to spend that much money on the iPad Pro, as I said, or not, you don't want the cheapest iPad in the market, it's also got a laminated display, the iPad Air, I guess, is a really great way to go. And now, let's go ahead and start talking about the beast on my favorite device that Apple has ever made, the iPad Pro. Now, the iPad Pro is simply, I guess a word to describe it is just beautiful, okay? It's just fancy, okay? This iPad right here is fancy and it's beautiful. It's got a bunch of fancy, a bunch of awesome features. Now, do you need all these features to experience iOS, to experience an iPad? No, but they're really, really awesome to have. And I'm gonna make a video on why you need an iPad Pro next week, so stay tuned with that. I personally love my iPad Pro, and I love those fancy features that it has. And starting everything off, I guess, is with the design. Because the first thing you see with this iPad is just that edge-to-edge display. You do not have a home button, you do not have Touch ID, you do not have any bezels. I mean, you've got the bezels over here, but compared to the other iPads, you know, this iPad simply feels like it's actually from 2019. You've got the most advanced display on the market. You've got Face ID. You've got no home button, so you simply, you know, go through iOS by gestures. Like, it's a really freaking awesome iPad. You've also got the second generation Apple Pencil support, as I was saying, which you simply connected via wireless charging. You've got stereo speakers, which simply sound fantastic. If you love watching movies, if you simply love watching videos, this iPad will blow the heck out of your mind. I mean, it simply sounds so incredibly good. So who is this iPad for? I guess it's the iPad for the pros. It's for the pros who really want to take advantage of the full potential of that display, of that storage, of everything this iPad involves. This iPad will do perfect for video editing. This iPad will do perfect for note-taking, for everything that you would expect, but just better, because the display is way much better as well. Everything about this is just simply much better. But as I said, you don't really need any of those features. They just make your experience better. My dog is barking. So concluding the whole video, which iPad should you buy in 2019? And as I said in the beginning of the video, I can't really tell you what iPad to get because I don't know you and I don't know what you do. But I guess I'm gonna say this. If you don't need the latest tech, if you don't really need the fanciest iPad, go ahead and buy the $300 iPad, because that will serve you perfectly fine. If you want a comfortable iPad, an iPad that you can bring along with you always, get the iPad mini. And then if you want a really, really pro device, get the iPad Pro. I guess I wouldn't really recommend the iPad Air because it's like right in the middle. Since you're spending so much money on the iPad Air, it won't really hurt $100 or $200 more for you to get the iPad Pro, because I totally recommend you guys the iPad Pro over the iPad Air. Like, the price difference isn't really that big. Once you're already spending like $500, $700 won't really hurt that bad. If you're in a budget, sure, get the iPad Air, you're going to be perfectly fine with it. But just buy a little bit more, you're gonna get the iPad Pro. That's just my opinion. Once again, you're here to listen to my opinion. You asked for my opinion, so I gave it to you. Before you guys ask me, this skin right here is from Toastmate. They make these skins out of wood, and they actually laser cut them. So if you guys are interested in them, this is not sponsored, but check the links down in the description. Totally recommend them. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, of course, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below, what iPad do you have? Or if you're interested in an iPad, what iPad are you actually thinking on buying? So yeah, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Peace.